Hello, my dear students. Welcome back to the physics class. So, in today's class, we are going to learn the electric generator. So, which is there, the last concept of your class. So, what is an electric generator, children? It is a device which converts the mechanical energy into electrical energy. So, such devices are called as electric generators. So usually it works on the principle of electromagnetic induction. So already we have studied the electromagnetic induction definition, isn't it? That is, whenever the magnetic flux through a coil changes, an EMF is induced in the coil and current, that EMF induced in the sense current is induced in the coil. So this is the main principle, so wave in which the generator works. Now you have the pictures, children. Here I have got two types of generators, and remember both these generators works on the same principle. Okay, now we have the electric generators of two types. One is a AC generator, the other one is a DC generator. Let us know about the AC generator, children, and whatever the picture that is being given in the textbook is an AC generator. Let us know the construction of an AC generator. AC generator consists of a rectangular coil ABCD, as you have studied in the motor, no? The same way here also we have a rectangular coil ABCD which can be rotated rapidly between the two poles of a strong magnet. So usually it is a north pole and a south pole. So here we are using the Horseshoe magnet, that too a permanent magnet. The coil is made up of a large number of turns of insulated copper wire. Even in the previous class we have studied. So why we are increasing the number of turns? Just to get the more magnetic strength. Okay. The two ends, that is A and D, of a rectangular coil are connected to the slip rings. That is R1 and R2. Here you need to note down, here I am using a new word, that is a slip ring. Whereas in the motor you have used the split ring. Okay. The two pieces of the carbon brushes, that is B1 and B2, keep contact with slip rings, so the current produced in the rotating coil can be trapped out through the slip rings into the carbon brushes. So here we have a picture of how the commercially available the generator have. So here we have a magnets, then the coils and the ball bearings. So now let us know about the working of a electric generator, that too the AC generator. Suppose that the coil ABCD, here I have a coil ABCD which is initially in the horizontal position, and when it is rotated anti-clockwise between the poles of the north and south poles of a horseshoe magnet, or you can take the U-shaped magnet also, while rotating the shaft. Okay, as the coil rotates, it cuts the magnetic field lines. Due to this, the induced current is produced in the sides AB and CD of the coil. So here I have a picture or the drawing of how the electric generator will be. So here we have the north pole and the south pole of a permanent magnet, and here we have a rectangular coil ABCD in which the many number of turns of the copper wire have been wound in it. Okay. Then remember, the side A and side B of the rectangular coil ABCD will be connected to the slip rings. Slip rings in the sense the full ring. Okay. Split in the sense half. Slip means full ring. And remember, the slip ring R2 is been connected to the brush B2 and slip ring R1 is been pressed against the carbon brush B1. So here the function as well as the working of the slip rings as well as the carbon brushes are one and the same, children, and even the rotation of the coil is also the same. Okay. Now on applying the Fleming's right hand rule, so we know that you have to stretch out your right hand, the three fingers, that is the thumb, forefinger and the middle finger. The current are in the direction from B to A and also from D to C. Thus, in the first half rotation of the coil, the current in the external circuit flows from the brush B1 to B2. And after the second, that is half a rotation, so the sides AB and CD of the coil will interchange their position. As a result, the direction of the induced current in each side of the coil is reversed after the half rotation. Remember, here we are studying the AC generator. AC in the sense the alternating current. Okay, alternating current is a current which changes for every half a cycle. So that means the first half of the cycle will be in the trough part and the second half of the cycle will be in the trough part. Like that, so even the direction of the current will also changes. So that's why, so in the second half of the cycle, the current in the external circuit will flow from the brush B2 to B1. In this way, the alternating current is produced in this generator. So now here also, just observe, earlier I had A and B this side near the north pole. Now I have C and D. Remember, as the poles or the sides of the rectangular coil changes, even the direction of the current also changes. Earlier it was from B2 to B1. Now it will be from B1 to B2. So that means, so we are deciding the direction of the current using the Fleming's right hand rule. Stretch out your right hand. See that the thumb shows the direction of the current and the forefinger shows the direction of the magnetic field and the middle finger shows the direction of the current. Okay, the thumb shows the direction of the force. Now we have the same picture of a stretching out your right hand. Remember always the thumb, as the M suggests the motion of the direction of the force, whereas the forefinger shows the first finger, we call it as the first finger shows the magnetic field. Here first F and here magnetic field. Okay, that is from north to south. Whereas the second, in that you have to stress out the letter E, where the second finger shows the direction of the EMF, that is nothing but the current itself. Now, let us know how the AC generator works, children, through a short video. Okay.
In this module, you will learn about an AC generator. An AC generator is an electric generator that converts mechanical energy to electrical energy in the form of an alternating EMF or alternating current. Working principle of an AC generator. An AC generator works on the principle of electromagnetic induction. In electromagnetic induction, when there is a relative motion between a coil and a magnetic field, an electric current or EMF is induced in the coil. Parts of an AC generator. An AC generator has an armature ABCD. It is a rectangular coil with many turns wound around a soft iron core. A shaft. It can be rotated rapidly. A field magnet. It may be a strong permanent magnet with concave poles. Two slip rings S1 and S2. These are connected to the armature and thus rotate with it. Two brushes B1 and B2. They provide electrical contact with the slip rings and a load, which may be a galvanometer as shown. Working of an AC generator. When the armature rotates between the poles of the field magnet, the magnetic flux linked with the armature changes continuously. As a result, an EMF is induced in the armature. This in turn produces an electric current through the armature and the galvanometer and through the slip rings and the brushes. Note that the galvanometer needle swings between the negative and positive values. This means that an alternating current is flowing through the galvanometer. Direction of induced current. Initially, the armature ABCD is vertical with its arm AB up and CD down. The direction of magnetic field is from left to right. As the armature undergoes a half rotation clockwise, arm AB moves down while arm CD moves up. According to Fleming's right-hand rule, the current will flow in the direction DCBA. So, the current will flow from B1 to B2 through the galvanometer. Now during the next half rotation, arm AB moves up while arm CD moves down. Again by Fleming's right-hand rule, current will flow in the direction ABCD, that is, from B2 to B1 through the galvanometer. Thus, the induced current changes its direction every half rotation. Graphical representation of induced EMF. Suppose the armature takes t seconds to complete one rotation clockwise. At time t is equal to 0 second, the armature ABCD is vertical with arm AB up and arm CD down. At this position, when the armature rotates, the rate of change of magnetic flux is momentarily zero. Hence, the induced EMF at this position is zero. During the first quarter rotation, the induced EMF increases. Then, at time t upon 4 seconds, the armature becomes horizontal. At this position, the rate of change of magnetic flux momentarily attains the maximum value. Therefore, the induced EMF at this position is maximum. During the second quarter rotation, the induced EMF decreases. Then, at time t upon 2, the armature again becomes vertical and therefore the induced EMF is zero. During the third quarter rotation, the induced EMF increases but has an opposite polarity as compared to that of the first half rotation. At time 3t upon 4 seconds, the induced EMF attains its maximum negative value. During the fourth quarter rotation, the induced EMF decreases and becomes zero momentarily at time t seconds, as the armature is vertical once again. So the magnitude of the induced EMF is sinusoidal. In this module you have learned an AC generator is an electric generator that converts mechanical energy into electrical energy in the form of alternating EMF or alternating current. An AC generator is based on the principle of electromagnetic induction. An AC generator consists of an armature, a shaft, a field magnet, slip rings and brushes. The graph between the time and EMF generated by an AC generator is sinusoidal.
Now, let us know about the direct current generator, that is the DC generator. It also works on the principle of electromagnetic induction, and this generator also, it is a device which converts the mechanical energy into electrical energy. So here, this is a commercially available DC generator, children. So now, in order to obtain a DC current, so a DC generator is used. As the name itself suggests, it is a direct current, and where throughout the cycle the current is not changing the direction. So here, in order to get this DC current, we need to replace the slip rings. Earlier we saw the construction of a generator, that too the AC generator. In the AC generator we have used the slip rings, and if I change that slip rings by a commutator, that is nothing but the split rings. So then that AC generator will become a DC generator. In a DC generator, a split rings, that is a commutator, is used. when two half rings of a commutator are connected to the two ends of a generator coil, then one of the carbon brush is at all the time in contact with the coil arm moving down in the magnetic field. So while the other carbon brush always remains in contact with the coil arm moving up in the magnetic field. Due to this, the current in outer circuit always flows in a one direction. So direct current is induced in the coil. In the exam, they may ask you to draw the figure of an AC generator or a DC generator. Accordingly, you should decide whether you need to have a split rings or a slip rings. If they have asked you to draw for a DC generator, you should use split rings, that is a commutator. If they have asked you to draw a AC generator, then you should use the slip rings. Okay. Now here also we have a rectangular coil ABCD with the two magnetic poles, that is a strong magnetic poles, or that is north and south poles of a horseshoe magnet. And then as the coil rotates, because of the induced magnetic field, that is induced electromagnetic field, that is EMF, the current is produced, and that current will be that is measured using or detected by the galvanometer. So now here we have the picture where the direction of the AB and BC have been changed. Remember, always the B1 brush will be connecting to the coil which comes towards the upper direction, and B2 will always touch the side of the coil which comes in the downward position. So this explains, children, about the electric motors. And the next topic is domestic electric circuits. Here we have the live wire and the neutral wire. You might have observed the domestic, that is the electric circuits in our home, isn't it? So we may not be observing all these electric circuits, but we are using some of the electric appliances like refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machines, isn't it? So all these electric appliances, so we are connecting in some pattern. Okay, so that we are going to study in this domestic electric circuit. So in this domestic electric circuit, just observe, this is a circuit pattern we have at our homes. Okay, electric power is supplied in our homes through the main supply supported through the electric poles or underground wires. So usually nowadays we'll have the underground wire system, or some places even we have the electric poles, isn't it? That is hypertension wires. That is a cable wires what you will observe in the this one, that is electric poles. Now we have this electric system, that is the electric circuit system. Here one of the wire in this supply is called as a live wire, which is in red color. Just observe, children, this red colored wire is called as a live wire, and in order to indicate that type of the wire, we are insulated that with the red color. And the other wire, which is also called as a neutral wire, usually we will insulate that with the black insulation. Therefore, we can recognize the red as the live wire and the black as a neutral wire. There is also one more wire here. Can you just observe? Yes, it is a earth wire. Earth wire is in the green insulation. So just remember, whatever the appliances you are connecting, it will be connected directly to the earth wire. These wires pass into an electricity meter through a main fuse. See, this is the electricity board box, that is the fuse box. Okay, they are connected through the main switch, so to the line wires in the house. Usually the electric meter will have a fuse attached to it, and we have a distribution box containing the main switch and the fuse together. Okay, after this distribution box, all these electric appliances are connected, and remember, all these electric appliances are connected in parallel. Okay, so they are connected in parallel. So now let us know about the domestic electric circuits. So here we have two types of supply. The one is the 15 ampere supply, the other one is a 5 ampere supply. Usually 15 ampere supply is required for the electric appliances like the refrigerators, okay, or the water heaters, okay, or the washing machine. So whoever the electric appliances require more electric power, so that require the 15 amperes of current. Whereas like electric bulbs, fans, okay, these require very small amount of current, that is 5 amperes of current is enough for them. The 15 ampere current for heavy appliances and 5 ampere for the small appliances. The earth wire which provides a low resistance conducting path for the current. Remember, this earth wire is been connected to the earth, so which will provide the low resistance because it offers a very less resistance for the conducting path of the current. So now we have a very important part, that is a fuse. Okay, so this fuse is very important because without a fuse there might be a short circuit at homes. Okay, a fuse in a circuit prevents a damage to the electric appliances and circuit due to overloading. Then overloading can also occur due to the accidental hike in the supply of voltage, or it can be because the live wire and the neutral wire come in contact, direct contact I say, since many of the electric appliances are connected with the live wire as well as a neutral wire. In any case, the insulation of these wires might be damaged and both of them are in coming contact with each other. In such cases, so overloading can happen. And the third reason for the overloading is connecting too many appliances to a single socket. Remember, all these hexagonal shape is there, no children? These are the electric appliances. If too many electric appliances are connected to a single socket, then obviously we have a overloading. Okay, so usually the voltage what we require for our home is a 220 volt. Okay, and here because of the overloading, the that is a fuse burns or melts, and automatically because of that the electric circuits will be saved. Okay, now the electric fuse prevents any possible damage. So how it prevents any possible damage? So remember, the fuse in a circuit prevents damage to the appliances and the circuit due to overloading. As I've said, overloading can occur because when the live wire and the neutral wire come in contact, that is when the insulation of the wires is damaged or there is a fault in the appliances. In such a case, the current in the circuit abruptly increase. This is called the short circuiting. The use of an electric fuse prevents the electric circuit and the appliances from a possible damage by stopping the flow of current, that is high unduly current. So this happens because of the Joule's heating, and as you have getting more amount of electric current, the fuse melts and it breaks the circuit, and because of that the accidental that may happen because of the overloading will be reduced. So because of the fuse, your electric appliances are safe, children. And remember, all these electric appliances, whatever you're using at home, all are connected parallel. Why in the parallel? Already you have studied that, because each of the appliances have got a different switch depending upon the amount of the energy consumption, and if suppose any one of the electric appliances is in use, then the other appliances need not be in the wastage of the power. Okay, because of that they are connected in parallel. So I hope you have understood these concepts, children. First we studied about the generator and the two types of generator. So then we saw the domestic electric circuit. Now let us quickly recap. So from the beginning of the chapter, what we have studied? We have studied that a compass needle is a small bar magnet. Then the magnetic field exists in the region surrounding the magnet where the force of magnet can be detected. So field lines are used to represent a magnetic field, and field lines are shown emerging from north pole to south pole. So that is, it will emerge from north and merge in the south pole. A current carrying conductor produces a magnetic field around it. So whether the current carrying conductor may be a straight conductor or it may be any type of the conductor, the direction of the magnetic field because of the straight conductor is determined by the right hand rule. The pattern of the magnetic field around the conductor depends on the shape of the conductor. A current carrying conductor, when placed in a magnetic field, experiences a force, and Fleming's left hand rule is used to find out the direction of the force on the conductor in the magnetic field. An electric motor converts electrical energy into mechanical energy as we saw in the previous class. And today's class we studied a generator converts mechanical energy into electrical energy, and it works on the principle of electromagnetic induction. In our houses, we receive AC electric power of 220 watt with the frequency of 50 Hz. Fuse is a most important safety device used for protecting the circuit due to short circuit or overloading of the circuit. So I hope you have understood all the concepts what we have studied today. So we saw the electric generator and its two types, that is the AC generator and a DC generator. So only the difference for the DC generator is in place of the slip rings, you should use the split ring. So usually in our homes we use AC generator. Okay. So that is AC current, alternating current. After that we saw the domestic circuit, how the circuits are being interconnected in our domestic supply, and also we saw the importance of the electric fuse. I hope you have understood all these concepts, children, and this completes the lesson, that is the magnetic effect of electric current. So let us meet again with the new concept. So that is the light chapter in the next class. Until then, take care. So bye.